Good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on where you're sitting today. Doing this video a few months before Windows 10 goes to end of life. There's a lot of people very concerned about what's going to happen once Microsoft stops issuing support for Windows 10. And probably for a month or two, it's not going to be a big impact for most people. The amount of hype out there is pretty high, but reality probably got to the end of the year before there's any serious concerns. Now, you don't want to be on a operating system where you can't get security patches, where you can't keep the system in good shape, reinstall it if you need to, etc. So there's a lot of things to consider there. One path, which I've got up here on the screen, is simply go to Amazon, look at the pricing of their renewed PCs, their Windows 11 ready or already installed. A lot of times they're going to be more powerful than the existing machines that can't upgrade to Windows 11. And that's not a bad option for a lot of people. It keeps you going. And while there's a lot of people who say, well, switch to Linux. If you're not running Linux already, that's a big ask, because just learning the differences is going to take time. And if you depend on your machine, that could impact you severely. It also puts you in a situation where maybe some of the things you're currently doing don't work. If you're dependent on Microsoft productivity applications like Office applications, Word, Excel, there's comparable products, but they're not the same products. And if you're using them for business and you have to share documents and spreadsheets with other people, compatibility issues do exist. And again, sometimes it just doesn't work that well for people. Now, there's some options though. You don't have to, just pick one. Obviously, you could pick one of these and then take your existing machine, move it over to Linux, and use that as a learning experience. Where you're not completely dependent on the Linux machine, and you can make some mistakes. You can tear it down and rebuild it if you need to, and that's not a bad option. There's a couple other things we can look at, and So this is examples in the Amazon space, and just about every computer I'm working on today came from either eBay or Amazon as renewed or refurbished used computers. Okay, I've been doing this a long time, so I live with the risk. But for the most part, Amazon's pretty solid. You get warranties, you can return them. You can get good good machines, so it's a good choice for some. Now this is the web admin panel for my lab machine, which I'm going to use for the rest of this video. It came off of eBay. It's an old Hewlett Packard machine. It's running a Xeon processor and a Debian operating system. It's been upgraded to 128 gigs of memory. It's got a ton of hard disk space in it now, and it's just I use it for my lab and for a lot of things. As you can tell, it's loafing right now. It's not doing much. If I remote into it, I've got some things going on here. I've got virtual machines up and running. Matter of fact, I've got a lot of virtual machines up and running, and the machine's still basically idle. This is a virtualized copy of Windows 11. It's running under Linux on the machine. It's relatively modest. It has 4 virtual CPUs, 8 gigs of RAM. Okay, so it's not a big virtual machine, but if you need to keep Windows, it works. And down here, for those that are curious, the machine currently doesn't have a functional TPM version 2.0, but I can put a virtual TPM into this, and Windows works natively. It's fine. Okay, so it's a good solution to run Windows 11 under Linux, thereby giving you the possibility of moving to Linux. Okay. Now, what does that look like? You know, there's a lot of debate out there on what you should use, what will work. I'm going to show you how to set up a um, a Linux distribution that's fairly simple. Okay, it's I think it's the best um, distribution for a beginner. There's others out there, and there's other people who will tell you different things. I'm going to show you how to do this one because I think it's easy, straightforward, makes sense. Now, this is a virtual machine, but most of the principles are still the same. Okay, so we have we have to tell it what operating system we're dealing with, but that's fine. This one I'm allocating to um, virtual CPUs. But if you have an old Intel i3 processor or i5 processor, it has a number of cores. Okay, so 2 or more. Okay, work fine. This particular virtual machine, I'm giving it 4 gigs of RAM. Okay, again, if you have a laptop or a desktop, it has 4, 8, 16, whatever it has memory, it's fine. Your boot options, you'll see that in the uh, uh, BIOS as you go to set it up, and there's instructions on how to do this on different laptops and desktops. So it's not difficult. All right. So uh, I have downloaded the ISO for Linux Mint 22.1. There are instructions out there to move that over to a USB drive, which would be the more common way to install it these days. But if you have a DVD burner, you could put it on a DVD if that's what you still have for hardware. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and I did all this in advance just so I don't have to take too much time with it. But it's very straightforward. Okay. We can see here, we're going to just simply start Linux Mint. And it's going to begin the process of setting up the computer for running Linux on this simulated laptop or desktop. Okay, just takes it a few minutes to get itself organized, and then it'll show us the option to start installing. Ta-da! All right. This is actually Linux running off of the installation media. Okay, so I had a little bit of a pause there, but you said I wanted to leave that in there because you get a black screen, you start panicking, hitting the power button. Don't need to. It just takes it a minute. Faster machines will run a little faster. Okay, just click install. We started thinking. And again, I'm leaving this real time so that you get an idea of what's going on here. Again, on faster machines, this will run a little faster, but it moves along quite well. All right, where I'm at, English is our language. Keyboard layout, we're going to use a standard keyboard. I'm going to go ahead and install these multimedia codecs so I don't have to worry about that later. That just allows the default programs applications that are put on the machine to play certain music files and video files. Okay. All right. Erase disk and install Linux Mint. From here, there's really no turning back. Okay. So be sure. Okay. But I'm sure now. So I'm going to go ahead. Okay. One more warning. And we're off. And again, I'm just taking the defaults here. They're pretty set up, well set up, so it's gonna do the right thing. Okay, this is the time zone I'm in. Go ahead and stay with that. Give it my name. Computer name, you can change it. I use, the defaults for most of these things. I can change it later if I need to. Require a password to log in. I think that's best. You can have it just come up to a desktop, but these days, I think you're better off having a little password on the machine. All these, I'm gonna leave this all the default. I'm not gonna encrypt the home folder. All right. All right. Here we go. We're copying files. Now, this is the distribution I'm running on my laptop, which is an older Dell. It's a Intel i7 processor with 32 gigs of RAM. Again, I got it as an Amazon renewed. I was running Windows 11 on it, but I'm kind of I've never moved to Linux, so to speak. I've been using Linux for well over 20 years now, as long as it's been around. Since Slackware came out, which was a long time ago, you installed it from floppy disks that you downloaded over a modem connection a lot of times. And I use Linux when it makes sense. I use Windows when it makes sense. I don't think it's worth the aggravation to get into the debates over which is better. Uh, Apple with their Mac and iOS platforms, Microsoft with their Windows platforms, and of course the Linux distributions that are out there. Now, again, I'm not into getting into a debate over which Linux distribution is the one to rule them all. The different distributions have strengths and weaknesses. I am recommending Linux Mint for this particular one. Uh, Others are, again, fairly decent. This one works for me, so I'm recommending it for you. I use Debian. I use Ubuntu. I use Arch, depending on what my needs are. So it's all up to you what works for you and what makes the most sense for you. I would recommend staying with some of the what are currently mainstream distributions. Uh, there's many good ones out there. The Some of the younger, newer distributions um, for your first uh, attempt, I would avoid. Not because they're not good or they're uh, not without they don't have good value. It's just they're unproven at this time. And right now, if you run into a problem, you get on your search engine, you put in your problem. The odds are someone has seen it already on the more popular ones. So uh, again, the popular distributions, Linux distributions, have the advantage of more support and more information. Now, granted, the one thing about Linux is a lot of times um, what works on one distribution will also work on another. So if you do find yourself looking for a problem, there are major families. The Debian family is the one that I tend to stick with, although Arch is its own family, and then Red Hat and its derivatives are another. Um, I don't I avoid those just because there's a learning curve in the differences. It's not a major issue. If you start there and stay there, you're fine. But I'm tending more towards the Debian way of doing things. So that's what makes sense for me. Okay. Again, this is real time. You're seeing it just as I am. You're sitting through the process and getting a good idea of how long it's going to take. On most laptops or desktops, they're going to have a lot more memory, a lot more power than this little virtual machine does. So you're going to, this is kind of a worst case situation that we're doing here. So, uh, just give you a good idea of what to expect and seeing it in real time. And there, again, there's a lot of other videos out there on YouTube that will show you the um, same kind of thing. They'll give you a real good idea of what to do and how to do it. I'm just taking the defaults. This is as simple and as easy as it can be. Okay. Um, the process is, I think it's reasonable in how long it takes. It's not like you can see. It moves along pretty well. Now this is on a network. I'm on obviously since it's a virtual machine, I'm on a physical network here, but this will also work out over wireless. If possible, I encourage people to use a wired connection. Plug a cable, an Ethernet cable, into their machine and into their the hub on their modem. Just because it's one less bit of problems. Now we're installing some Office work-alike products right now. Again, these are good enough for most people. If you just use casual word processing and casual spreadsheet needs, this will do fine for most people. They they have the same features and functionality as the more expensive Microsoft Office products for the most part, and they'll just do the job. Okay, they're um, not difficult to use. They're easy to understand, and they're very well polished, very user friendly. These are good quality products that are used by hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people around the world. So there's nothing to be concerned about in that regard. Other applications that work on your uh, existing Windows 10, there are comparable products over on the Linux side. For the most part, there's probably a few things that you don't have access to yet. Um, Maybe one of the most annoying things for some people is your choice of games. If you're into online gaming, there's some things that just don't run on Linux yet, but there's a lot that does. So, uh, you know, use what use what you can in that area. Make sure it meets your needs. One thing is most games don't run under the virtual machine. So what I showed earlier about setting up a virtual Windows 11 running under Linux may not be a solution there for you, but you know it can be done. It just takes a little more effort and probably won't work on the kind of hardware that won't run on Windows. Won't run Windows 11. So again, your mileage may vary, and this is for beginners starting out, but it doesn't take long to start tinkering and poking around and learning, and there's a lot of capabilities in there. And I think it's a good thing to learn. It's a great way to move from being somebody who is dependent on um, somebody else for um, keeping their computer running um, and becoming self sufficient in that area. If you follow good practices, you keep your data backed up, and so forth. The worst thing that you have to do is reinstall Linux. And as far as that goes, that's not horrible, and you don't have to worry about uh, activation keys or um, getting paying for licenses or anything like that. It just works. So that's again, um, a reason to start tinkering with Linux. It's again, I don't think it's a good idea. Going back to what I said earlier, I don't think it's a good idea when you're under a lot of pressure to move to a new operating system when you're dependent on features and functionality. So, uh, your mileage may vary, but I think it uh, is worth looking uh, at your leisure and when you're not under a lot of pressure. And I think you'll get good results. And again, there's a ton of things out there they'll run under Linux. So the odds of you running into something where you can't find a solution, um, very slim, very slim. We're almost finished here, it looks like. Yep. Okay, so we're ready to restart. I'm going to go ahead and click the Restart Now button. All right. I'm going to jump over here real quick. I'm going to go down to my CD-ROM. I'm going to eject it. Okay, you don't have to worry about that, but Okay, and press enter. All right, we're going through the reboot. Again, if you're running a real machine, the physical hardware will be faster than this, but this does a pretty good job and all. Okay, I'm ready to log in. Okay, here I am. Okay, nice welcome screen. Okay, first steps. Go through these first steps. I'm not gonna drag this video out too much longer, but these are the things that you need to familiarize yourself with over time. The most important one, I think, at the start is the update manager. Okay, Windows updates happen automatically for the most part. Microsoft sends them out, and you're told you've got to install them and reboot. Update manager, a little bit more responsibility on your part, but again, you have the control and a little less issue if there's a problem. Okay. The other thing you may want to deal with is getting set up is system snapshots. Okay, so system snapshots, again, take a picture of your system at a point in time. Okay, and in case something happens, okay, you can roll back. Okay, again, take the defaults initially. You can change them later. All right, this is where it wants to put them. Okay, just click finish. And time shifted. Now this is, Apple has a comparable product. Microsoft kind of has something like this, but it just takes pictures, if you will, conceptually, copies of data and stores them in a separate place on the hard drive. It's not a backup, but in case you make a mistake or there's a problem, okay, it takes care of it. I think, again, I think I'll show you the update manager real quick. It usually doesn't take that long. All right. Security updates, software updates, system snapshots. Just click OK. Okay. Do you want to switch to a local mirror? Probably. Let's apply the update to the update manager first. You'll notice it wants passwords a lot. Okay. So this is for your protection. This keeps the bad guys from doing things that might damage your system. You think, well, who would do that? Well, there's people out there. Okay. I'm going to switch to a local mirror. Okay. I'm going to click yes. Again, password. Okay. Additional repositories. Okay. Hmm. Oh, sorry, wrong button. All right, here we go. I'm going to leave that in, show you that you can make a mistake and it doesn't hurt anything. What it's doing now is it's looking at the speed, network speed between my computer here and these different locations on the internet that host the files. And there's a lot of them out there. And depending on where you are, who your cable provider, who your internet provider is, these will vary often quite a bit. So let this run for a little bit. It will find the ones that aren't responding sometimes. So it looks like we got an answer there. Fastest is a Canadian one, and I'm in Florida. That's a long haul. So, but that's the way it goes sometimes. But I'm going to go with James Madison University. I'm going to apply there. Click update. Sorry if this is rambling a little bit, but all right, good. All right, we're going to install the updates now. You didn't have to do all that. If you wanted to just uh, run it from the existing one, that's fine too. Uh, but over time, if everyone's pointing at the same location, sometimes it slows things down. Okay. There's a uh, there's a ton of other software that's already installed on the machine that you can take advantage of. There's a ton of configuration options that allow you to customize the system to your liking, to what works for you. So again, there's a ton of YouTube videos out there for that, and I encourage you to use your favorite search engine, go out, find them, look at them, blogs, websites. There's there's a website for Linux Mint that you can go to, and there's online forums that can help you with problems. All kinds of things available to make this an easy win for you. Okay, now uh, package installation on Update Manager most of the time just runs, and you finish it up and you continue on your um, way. You don't have to worry about rebooting. But when you have a lot of packages being updated, at that point, you often do have to reboot the machine. So you'll see that, depending on how long you go, because Linux is assembled from many different projects throughout the many different people throughout the world, updates come at varying paces. So unless there's a reason, uh, I recommend keeping a kind of a moderate pace on installing updates. I have a tendency to try to stay up to the last minute in installing these. But if you set something on your calendar to do this once a month or once every 2 months, you're usually going to be okay. You're not going to have a problem. Uh, Giving things a chance to bake in a little bit for more experienced users to give things a try, find the issues, find the problems is not a bad plan when you're a beginner. Okay, even when you're experienced, if you're depending on the machine, being the first one to install a new software package that may make changes that you're not comfortable with or that you don't like, uh, it's good to let people who are able to kick the tires for you uh, take the lead, and then you can learn from their experiences. Okay. Again, you see we're going through a lot of different packages. This is this is not uncommon. The distribution the ISO I downloaded over a month ago, and they don't recreate ISO packages daily. I'm not sure what schedule they're on, to be honest with you, but so there's always a few updates to be made. A couple other things I'll talk about while this is going on. Uh, the package comes pre-installed with Firefox. I'm not a big fan of Firefox. Your mileage may vary. The three big browsers that I recommend, first off, is Brave. It's Chromium based. It's a good browser. It values your privacy. I highly recommend it. Uh, Google Chrome and Microsoft Edge also work, which also solves sometimes some compatibility questions. You can do a lot of things browser based these days. So if you can't install an application on your computer, uh, you can often use the web version of the software to do the same thing. And for example, most of my email access is done with browser based, either through Google, Proton Mail, or Microsoft Office Outlook. So I can get to just about anything I need to with them. Installation, there's instructions on the respective websites on installing it on Linux, and for the most part, it just works. It's maybe something you want to tackle a little bit further down the road. Again, it's fairly harmless. There's not really any way you can do any damage by installing a different browser. Getting used to things, you know, it's all very straightforward. All right. Getting towards the end here. Again, this takes a long time. This is a slow machine, relatively speaking, but there's a lot of updates because this is the first update. Okay, and I am going to have to do a reboot because we did touch a few things, but we're now up to date. All right, we're good. Good there. I'm going to go ahead and close that out. I'm going to go down here, hit shutdown, hit restart. All right. This happens very quick. You're going to notice that this is a lot faster than your typical Windows boot sequence, even though we've got a lot going on here. Okay, we're ready for login. Yeah, this is all real time. I'm not editing any of this. Mistakes and all, you're seeing it all. Right. Logged in. Okay, well, we're going to leave this. I'm going to leave this on because, again, as someone new to this, it might be useful. All right. Here's all of our applications that are already installed for us. Down here, we have our tray. There's Firefox already installed. Okay. I'm going to open up a terminal. Okay. This is a little bit. I'm going to enter just right now. This represents the disk drive that we're using. It's a 20 gig disk drive. Nobody has a disk drive that small from the last 10 years. I'm only using 60% of it. There's a ton of room still on this tiny little hard drive after the full installation. Okay, I've got my Office, my productivity software. Okay, I've got my web browser. Okay, I've got a ton of things on here already. The machine's completely ready to go, and all fits in 20 gigs. Okay, so this is Remedy in the video. I think I've given you, kind of a good walkthrough. Again, I'm not editing out any of this. It's all real time, kind of like a live stream. So I hope this helps. Talk to y'all later.